My name, yes, my name is Katriina Haikala. I'm an artist, coach, and entrepreneur, and I'm honored to be your host for today's special event, the online launch of Awake, the Casebook. I am actually attending from Helsinki, and I know that there is people from all of Europe here. It's truly wonderful to see so many of you here, artists, cultural workers, freelancers, change makers, all of you shaping the world with your creativity, courage, and commitment. Today, we're not just launching a book, we're opening up a space for reflection, inspiration, and collective insight. Awake is more than a publication. It's a shared mirror for those of us navigating the art and culture sector, often independently, often courageously, and often in ways that challenge the systems around us. Before we dive into the program of our launch, I'd love to invite you who are now joining our session into a short moment of reflection, something simple but powerful. Here's a question for you. What keeps you awake in your work, your art, or your community? It could be a question, a value, a challenge, or even a vision that pulls you forward. If you feel inspired, you can share your answer in the chat. Like I said, it can be just a word or a short phrase. Meanwhile, you are writing your answers to the chat. I will briefly go through the program of our event so that you know what's up during our 1 hour and 15 minutes. Yes, that's sharing the program. Okay. So we will start now. After I have briefly gone through your beautiful answers, we will start with the introduction to the event and the whole Awake project. And this will be done by RECEPT. And then we will be actually setting the stage and take a closer look into the casebook. And this will be presented by our experts, Annabelle and Ariane. And then we will have a discussion featuring case studies. So there will be a panel discussion, and some of the entrepreneurs who are shown in the casebook will be participating in our launch. And they are here already online. And you can actually recognize all of us from the beautiful background that we have here. Okay, now let's take a moment to see what matters to each of us and what connects us beyond screens and borders. So did anybody write anything to the chat? Can you, Datse, see anything is there any answers there? Let me see. I can also try to find them here. Yes, we have curiosity into other worlds. Deadline, yes, that's usually very motivating, right? Novelty, holistic approach, and somebody saying, good evening, everyone. What keeps me awake is creativity. And Clara is saying, I feel inspired when I learn new things or skills. And hey, Jennifer is saying that something that motivates or inspires and keeps her awake is to reduce human suffering. Thank you so much for sharing. It's a beautiful feel the energy already in this virtual room. Now we will have a good hour and 15 minutes together. I truly hope that after this event is over, all of you will feel inspired to download the book Awake and dive into it. We will share the link where in the chat box where you can actually download the book afterwards, or even during this session when you're participating here. Okay. Now let's really begin after my starting words. First, I will ask Datse Resele, acting head of the secretariat, to give us all an introduction to the Awake project. I give the microphone to you, Datse.
Thank you, Katriina. Thank you very much. And I'm really happy to see you all this this afternoon online. So my name is Dace, as Katrina said, and I'm working at the Northern Dimension Partnership on Culture Secretariat. We are based in Riga. Some of you know already that we are an international organization that is taking care of the creative sector of its development and looking for the gaps where we can be handy and helpful too. So, and therefore as well, this particular project and this particular edition that we are talking about today. So as you see, actually, that first of all, what you need to know is that this event and this casebook would not be possible if not supported from the European Union. So, and the casebook is one of the activities within the project AWAKE, and the AWAKE is the abbreviation of the longer title is Arts and Wellbeing as a Creative Business and Future Livelihood. And as I said, the project is co-financed by the European Union. And today, this launching event is hosted together with the project partners from Bordeaux, the Pôle Culture Santé, Nouvelle-Aquitaine. Clara is here. Clara, you can wave. Then with colleagues from Lapinlahden from Helsinki, Finland. I don't know if they are here as well, so you can wave, Jennifer or Ville. And from Cluj Cultural Center, we are cooperating with Claudia and Rita. If you are here, then you can wave as well. And of course, our beloved associated partners from Creative Incubator of Latvia, from the Medicine Museum of Latvia, Arts and Health Coordination Center at Turku University of Applied Science, and National Center of Expertise, Education and Amateur Arts in Netherlands. So this is like the little bunch of people who started this project almost a year ago, and it's still half a year to go. And some of you participated already in some of the activities we organized. Those were the master classes when we gave some training on some particular topics, sustainable business models, value co-creation, licensing, and so on and so forth. And this idea actually of this Awake project was really to see what are the gaps within the sector, how many are these entrepreneurial cases within realms of arts and well-being, and what is really lacking there and how can we contribute. And these were our objectives when we started. So we thought, okay, it would be great, of course, if we can contribute somehow to the capacity building of the arts and culture professionals. Then, of course, obviously, we need to build the entrepreneurial skills of the artists and the creatives. And actually, we see here that this moment of raising awareness of the business possibilities is super important within the project. And actually, we wanted as well to facilitate this peer-to-peer learning process and knowledge exchange and networking, of course, and obviously raise the awareness about the entry and access of arts and culture professionals to work in the health and well-being sectors. And therefore, as well, this casebook that we are going to talk about today. So, and a few words about project activities. So we had already a few training activities, roundtable discussion. Now today we are launching the casebook that we are very proud of, and thanks to our expert Ariane and Annabelle who worked a lot to make it happen. And then we are as well having soon another training activity that will be in the format of hackathon. So, but this is still to come in May. And the final event of the project will take place in Helsinki and online. This will be this October 2nd. But more information will follow, so you always can stay updated if following us and our partners on the social media or just checking time to time our web pages. And here a few words about upcoming activities where you are all invited to take part. The cross-sectoral hackathon Culture and Wellbeing will take place on 26th, 28th of May. Julia, my colleague, will drop in the chat the link where you can already registered, and more information, detailed information will come soon. And another event where you can just pencil down in your agendas on the 2nd of October in Helsinki and online. There we will have some training for arts and well-being practitioners and roundtable discussions, obviously networking opportunities, and as well we will wrap up our project. And I will stop here, and now we'll give floor to our dear experts who worked hard on the casebook and made it ready for today, that they can briefly introduce what are their findings within there. And then I'm always as well grateful to the cases who are I call them cases, but there are entrepreneurs who stand behind these just the label cases, who are here today to share their experience being arts and well-being entrepreneurs, and who are showcased in this casebook, and as well many cases that were just listed there and published in the casebook. And thank you to everyone who contributed to the content of this precious material. So thank you. I stop here, and now I give the floor to Katrina again. Thank you.
Thank you. That's for an insightful introduction. This was very useful. I presume, at least for people who really didn't know so much about where and why did the Awake project even started from. Now it's time to take a closer look at the exploration behind the Awake. This book didn't appear out of nowhere. It's rooted in deep listening, critical thinking, and the lived experiences of cultural professionals like many of you. At the heart of this work are two brilliant experts whose dedication, care, and curiosity have shaped the entire project. So now I'm delighted to hand the floor to Ariane, Vitou, and Annabelle Türkis, who will walk us through the exploration and share the key insights that inspired Awake. So Ariane and Annabelle, the stage is yours.
Thank you, Katrina, and thank you very much, dear Datsy, and good afternoon to all. I'm very honored to present you the publication today and guide you through some of our key learnings. We're going to start sharing a PowerPoint. Just a second. Thank you. So before we dive into the content of the casebook, in order to make it more suspenseful, we would like to briefly expose what were we looking at during our research and sourcing phase. What characteristics were, in our eyes, the most relevant to showcase artist-led entrepreneurial ventures in well-being? In other words, why are we featuring these 5 artist entrepreneurs you're going to get to know? And how did we get there? So let's have, with the next slide, a quick look at the characteristics we were looking for. First and foremost, this may surprise, but first and foremost, in order to show how artist entrepreneurs can generate a sustainable meaning, of course, long-term livelihood within well-being, we had very precise criteria in terms of business model and levels of maturity of an entrepreneurial venture. First, what kind of business model were we looking at? Hybrid business models. This means hybrid here means entrepreneurial projects that are not solely dependent or not meant to be solely dependent on grants, subsidies, but with a clear revenue generating logic in order to enable long-term livelihood. And then in terms of maturity, we were looking at both mature and emerging entrepreneurial projects, but the more emerging ones need to have secured a proof of concept to ensure viability. Next slide, please. Next to that, thanks. Next to that, we were looking at professional artists with high quality artistic work in health, well-being, and social contexts. In the largest possible variety of disciplines. The 5 artist entrepreneurs you're going to meet that are showcased are representing dance, music, photography, theater, multidisciplinary social design in the largest possible variety or range of EU countries. And in a variety of health and well-being contexts, the artists we found are, and we are showcasing are, for example, collaborating with nurseries, rehabilitation centers, care homes, psychiatric units within hospitals, etc. Also aiming at the well-being of a large variety of beneficiaries, such as older adults, infants, individuals with mental health issues, individuals with chronic diseases. Now, quickly, how did we proceed? Next slide, please, thanks. During a limited phase of 3 months of sourcing, we reached out to more than 45 professionals within incubators and to more than 50 professionals EU-wide, professionals such as academics, curators, directors of institutions, educations, experts, etc. And so we were able to source 115 potential, let's say, candidates, potential cases, which we assessed through the lens of the characteristics I just exposed in order to select the 5 which we thought could be the most relevant to showcase how to build a viable artist-led entrepreneurial venture in well-being. Next slide, please.
Well, you didn't ask me.
Thanks. So now, what can we learn from these 5 art entrepreneurs? What to expect in this publication, in this casebook? What questions might you find answers to in this casebook? I'm leaving the floor to my colleague Ariane.
Thank you, Annabelle. So to go one step further, the questions that were really key for us are questions that comes from an empirical approach. We thought, okay, this is an emerging field, and to contribute to the knowledge to this field, we as experts have to come as closer as we can to the entrepreneurs. So we decided to put ourselves in the shoes of the entrepreneur and to keep asking questions from a project development perspective. So this is why you will find those sections that reflect questions that are related to the project genesis, how to start, how to transform an idea, an intuition, an intention into a real project. Then section dedicated to project setup. What are the key milestones to progress? Who can be allies? How to integrate to enter the L sector when you are an artist, for example. Then from a project development perspective, how to develop, what are the levers to activate and to contribute to the real development of a viable project. What are the challenges that have been faced by our 5 pioneers? And then from a more perspective approach, how to persist, how to keep going, how to ensure long-term sustainability and expansion. What are the key factors that really can make the difference over the long term? And how can an ecosystemic approach help you to grow in this emerging field? Now, we thought it would be key to really guide you through the business models that we have been analyzing, and Annabelle and I will walk you through those analysis of mature cases and more emerging cases that are still consolidating their model. Annabelle?
Thank you, Ariane. So in-depth conversations with each artist entrepreneur enabled us to represent the core aspects of their business model in a very simplified version, as you can see. So let's start with dance op RECEPT, meaning dance on prescription, which belongs to the more mature models that we have found. Let me quickly just mention the main health and well-being focus of dance op RECEPT. Improving with dance the quality of life of people with long-term illnesses, such as Parkinson's, brain injuries, and chronic pain. Now, let me quickly guide you through the representation to the figure. So the biggest circle in the middle, the green biggest circle represents one of the core activities of dance op RECEPT, dance classes for individuals. Above, in gray, are the main beneficiaries of these dance classes. These dance classes generate revenue through ticket sales to these individuals, and they are supported, and you can see this below, they are supported by local and regional authorities, by the public sector, which you see in this light green-gray. This is how the entrepreneurial venture started. Later on, Marlene Zijnstra managed to grow her activity by convincing partners, such as a health insurance company, to cover the costs of the dance lessons for patients under the framework of dance on prescription. Dance classes are also services that are purchased by corporate clients, such as retirement homes. So this here you see in the dark green healthcare organizations, such as retirement homes, are corporate clients purchasing these dance classes as services. And this belongs to a diversification strategy as regards to the initial offer being dance lessons to individuals. As Dance op RECEPT has been creating performances on stage since the beginning, another source of revenue, you can see it on the left, is ticket sales through her dance company, the Livmeesters. These inclusive performances alongside peer-to-peer conferences, which you see above, are raising awareness and advocating about the positive impact of dance on health and well-being, while also promoting the whole offer of Dance op RECEPT. And then to finish, the figure also shows us where some perspective of growth are. For instance, in the collaboration with physiotherapists, which you see more on the right-hand side. And this is also mentioned to key that trainings are not only a revenue stream, but also a strong foundation for the scalability and future of the project. We are now moving to another mature model, empowering photography.
Thank you very much, Annabelle. So we're moving to another project, which, as Annabelle said, is quite mature because Mina Saivalinen has been working on that project since 1998. She tried to reverse the usual power dynamics of photography, and that led her to develop a method that she grew into a training program. So at the beginning of her entrepreneurial adventure, she benefited from social and cultural grants, which led her to launch her first project. And from that project that you can see on the left, she has been developing workshops that were developed and studied in collaboration with universities. And this workshop led her to design two training programs that are now transmitted to individual professionals coming from several backgrounds, either healthcare or cultural or social or teaching sectors. And those training, either the foundational or the specialization program, are key in the viability of her model. These trainings allow her now to generate some research alongside with universities that help her to structure and get the scientific robustness to her approach. In parallel to that, she has been developing over the last 30 years event production and exhibitions that are supported through social and cultural grants. Now, one of the key growth driver is to develop those workshops towards organization, private organization, and universities that are eager to integrate these social innovation into new formats of training or social and organizational cohesion into their events and training programs. Thank you. We're moving to the last mature model, and this model has been developed by SJAAK LANGENBERG and ROSÉ de Beers, and SJAAK and ROSÉ are designers. They have been working in social and work-related communities since 1997, so really pioneering this field. And they led, I think we are on the wrong slide, so we can go back to the previous one. Thank you so much. So they have been real pioneers in the field of social design, and they launched the Social Gym project in 2014. And now they have generated more than 25 years of research on this project. So this is why we have a quite complex scheme here. So let me walk you through that scheme. On the top, you can see the creation of the concept. At the beginning, it was funded to answer the Design Museum of Den Bosch, who was requesting a new innovation about reinventing happiness within the city. And to answer this cultural project, SJAAK and ROSÉ crafted the Social Gym project, which aimed at developing new approach of sports practice that would bring together younger and older generations in a revived horizon of sports practicing and challenging this idea of aging well. So this was a real proof of concept. And from there, they decided to develop a real prototype that could be implemented in several healthcare institutions. And to sustain this ambition, that's what you see here, they created a dedicated foundation that would support this ambition to grow a social sports school that could be implemented in several cities with strong, tight collaboration with healthcare institutions. So they moved from a proof of concept that was funded from the cultural sector to a dedicated business and business model independent that would be funded by municipality. And then now, as the Social Gym project is expanding, they are getting a robust hybrid funding model that gets both the support of municipality, but also some payment from social welfare organization, sponsoring, and also innovation fund that can really help them to combine both cultural, social, and health scene. And the next growth driver can really be partnership with private companies that could support the development of this social sports school and new collaboration through sponsoring. We are now moving to emerging projects. So emerging projects, as Annabelle said, are projects that are still in the process of consolidating their model. And we are starting with DEJVISKA production, which has been created by Emma Ludenmark. And Emma Ludenmark has been developing a first anti-stigma workshop in psychiatric care in Sweden. She has been creating this workshop thanks to the funding of public sector grants and donation That's what you can see on the left. And this anti-stigma theater workshop is now leading to scientific reports that can really help back up the project from a scientific perspective. And this scientific report is being developed by 2 senior lecturers at Stockholm University, Department of Teaching and Learning. And this report is being financed by the Competence Center for Culture and Health from Region Stockholm. This is the beginning of the story. And now the project is expanding through lectures that can really help to disseminate the learning from the scientific report and contribute to the viability of the model. The next step for the development of DEJVISKA production is to develop training, so that what you can see on the right hand of the scheme, some dedicating training that would help to disseminate this approach, this specific approach of theater and creative writing towards both children in inpatient care and adults in psychiatric care. So the founder, Emma, is also reflecting on having hospital giving a financial contribution to those workshops over the long term, and that could also contribute to the viability of the project.
Let's move on.
Annabelle, yeah, I'd let you the last one.
Thank you, Ariane. Now we are looking at the Collectif TUTTI and their entrepreneurial project, the TUTTI Box. Let me just quickly mention the main health and well-being focus here: artistic awakening of infants, while also positively impacting the adults around them. In this spirit, the Collectif TUTTI has recently created the TUTTI Box that combines artistic initiation and caregiver training, and which is meant to be distributed to nurseries and enhance the well-being of all stakeholders in this ecosystem. So as we are here in the more emerging setting in the context of an entrepreneurial venture, this figure does not show a business model as such, but the launch strategy of the TUTTI Box. Yeah. So at the top, you can see the TUTTI Box as a whole. The TUTTI Box is described in full in the casebook. In green, in the middle, different types of activities showcasing the 3 p.m. performance, distribution of a book, and professional trainings, which all belong to the concept of to the offer of the TUTTI Box, but which are also at this stage positioned as standalone offers with their specific targets and audiences, which you can see more below, while at the same time raising awareness and promoting the TUTTI Box as a whole. Please remember that this is an instant view of a launch strategy and not a business model as such. So I saw the question early on, you will be able to find all these business models and the description of each entrepreneurial venture, an introduction to the topic, and all our key learnings and recommendations in the casebook, which is or will be able very soon for download, available for download in the chat. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ariane and Annabelle, for that inspiring dive into the research behind Awake. I have one elaborative question for you. Based on your research, what key recommendations do you have for artists or creatives interested in social entrepreneurship in well-being?
It's a huge question, but maybe one way to answer it would be to be very pragmatical here, based on our research, and to answer with some crucial steps and some success factors that we have observed in many cases. Maybe a first crucial and decisive step is establishing a strong initial partnership with a health or social care institution. This type of collaboration enable direct engagement with beneficiaries in their own care environment. And so this is very useful for prototyping, testing, and providing credibility for further developments. Another key aspect seems to be collaborations with universities and for conducting impact studies that significantly enhance credibility from what we have observed and enable after that to build private partnerships. In terms of scaling, we could say that opportunities arise when there's a tailored offer for the health care sector, which is developed in partnership with a well-established actor in the sector. And also what we've seen is developing training programs. You may have seen it in many of the cases we just shown. Training programs seem to be key for scalability and long-term revenue generation. But now maybe from a less entrepreneurial point of view, on a more human level, it might seem evident, but I still would like to point it out. The key to all this is first and foremost a very sincere, authentic relationship to vulnerable individuals, right? The vision that creative work can have a transformative impact and the very strong commitment behind that. This seems to be key, and these are aspects we talked a lot with all the artist entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Annabelle, for your very insightful answer. And I really hope that everyone who is here listening online, that you will go and download the book after this event from the link that is just now shared in the chat box. Now let's bring the book to life even a bit more through real voices, those of the entrepreneurs whose practices are at the very heart of it. We're honored to have 4 incredible professionals with us today, artists, cultural entrepreneurs, and visionaries who each represent different ways of building sustainable, value-driven practices in the arts and culture field. So let me introduce them briefly. Maybe each one of you can wave when you hear your name. And I will say that there is 5 cases in the book, but we have 4 of the cases or the entrepreneurs here today. So Miina Savolainen from Voimaton Valokuva was not able to join us. So first, Emma Lundenmark from DEJVISKA Production, which is a powerful artistic platform that explores identity, provokes dialogue, and redefines what artistic production can be in today's world. So Emma, maybe you can wave a bit so everybody knows. Yes, hey Emma. Then we have Marlene Seistra from Dans op RECEPT, a pioneering initiative that merges dance and care in deeply participatory ways, showing how movement itself can be a form of healing and social connection. So Marlene, maybe you can wave as well. Hello, hi Marlene. And then SJAAK LANGENBERG and ROSÉ, an artistic duo whose socially engaged practice constantly questions systems and opens up space for new ways of seeing and being together. SJAAK and ROSÉ, hello, hi. And then last but not the least, Sylvain Meret from COLLECTIF TUTTI, a dynamic collective working across arts, education, and inclusion, always creating bridges between people, disciplines, and communities. Welcome to all of you, and we're so glad to have you all here. Maybe you can open your microphones that we can hear your voices very soon. I have some questions for you, so let's dive into the conversation. First of all, I would like to ask you, just a moment. I would like to ask you one specific question that has something to do with the heart of your work. Because in a sector often shaped by external pressures, funding, policies, expectations, it's vital to pause and reconnect with our own inner motivations and values. I believe that they are the compass that guides everything else. So I would like to ask you, why do you do what you do, and maybe what gives you your work meaning, and why it is important to you? And if you think about it a little bit, like into your history? Has that meaning changed over time? And maybe Rosé and Jacques, you could start, and let's keep the answers short and sweet so that everyone will have time to answer the question. So the stage is yours, Jacques and Rosé.
Okay, I'll try. Well, I think our work derives from our amazement at how worlds coexist next to each other in their own bubble. So we try to make new connections between those worlds because we think more and more people or more and more worlds can be of significance to each other. So, and the importance of this cooperation is growing day by day, especially in the context of care, where you see increasing pressure due to aging population or staff shortages. So the social gym, which is in the casebook, shows also that the cooperation between youngsters who go, say, 3 or 4 times to a gym and would not think participating in a social, cultural sports project with elderly, they wouldn't think of it, but we managed to build up this project, to invite them, and now they have become volunteers without calling them volunteers. So that's our way of bringing these worlds together, these bubbles in which we live.
Thank you, Jacques. Maybe Emma, you could continue from here.
Yes, well, I really believe that creativity, the arts, really can change your narrative, your life story, and you can see solutions by not being just a patient, but open up the world, open up your fantasies, and see more possibilities. So that's, I've seen it happens really powerful.
Thank you, Emma. What about you, Marley?
Yeah, for me, the same story as Emma. I'm very happy that I can be a positive part of somebody's life who is chronically ill. Once there was a student of mine who had dance classes, and unfortunately he died. But he said one thing to me: Marleen, you can never stop doing this job, because you make me feel like a human, like a dancer, and not like a patient. And that's so important when you are having an illness. So that's beautiful to bring something positive to somebody's life.
Thank you. That's very, very touching. Thank you, Marley. So what about you, Silva?
Well, we are primarily a music dance company, and we have, for some reason, we have entered into the public. So we have changed this relationship to creating performance to be with the public. And that's how we met babies and how we met the caregiver and people, professional workings with babies and parents. And that's how we realized that dance and music were wonderful skills and tools to enhance communication, relation, and they were very much part of child development, and they were totally supporting child development. And we could see also the lack sometimes of relation between adult and children, and we felt like, because we learned that as doing those performances, and we started to try to see what we could do to bridge the gap between the adult and the children.
Thank you, Silva, very, very much, and all of you. So happy to have you here. Now let's look back for a moment. Many of us in the field know how lonely, uncertain, or unclear our first steps in our entrepreneurial journey can feel. So I would like to ask you to think about the early stages of your journey, when you were just starting out. So what kind of support would have made it a real difference for you, or what kind of structures were missing maybe, or what helped you keep going? Any one of you who would like to have an urge to start, you can.
Well, maybe I can start.
Please.
I have actually 2 examples which helped me to make the project a success. And one of them was that I made a performance with people with Parkinson's disease in the theater. And there was somebody sitting who was working at the province of Friesland. And so she had money, and she asked me, could you develop your project for the whole province? That was not an idea of mine. I just made a performance with people with Parkinson's disease. And by the fact that she asked me to develop and provide money, the project growth. And the second success for the project Dance on Prescription is that we had a project team with 4 very different persons in it. So there was a rehabilitation doctor, me as a dancer, a physiotherapist, and somebody who was working at the government. And we all had a different backgrounds, and we brought networks together and learned from each other. That was a very successful start of the project. So learn from different worlds and bring it together.
Very, very good insights, and I think that they can be useful for any one of us. Anybody else? What would you have would needed in the beginning of your journey? Or was there something that was missing? Everything was there. Yes, Sylvain, yeah, you can go, please.
I can go quickly. I mean, actually, the first start with working with babies was from a programmer actually in the Netherlands, Ingrid Wolf, and she asked Makiko Ito at the time to make a performance for babies, and that was like 15 years ago, and there was really not much performance at the time, and so it came from actually a programmer, a theater programmer, and also then we had the chance to meet Clara Bourgeois, who is also here, and the Pôle Culture Santé, who actually is an institution, a cooperative actually, that make the link between, you know, that actually connect artists and medical institution, hospital, and so there is really a point where we can meet and see. Doesn't mean really anything in terms of outcome, but there is actually a pole that really connect us and is a really huge resource.
Thank you, Sylvain. Thank you very much. Does ROSÉ or SJAAK? Yes, you want to add something?
For us, we must say the start wasn't that difficult. That went quite easy, but growing bigger, then the difficulties because you become more a business developer than the artist, which you are educated.
Very interesting, and I can totally share your experience. Yes. Is there something that you would like to Emma add, or should I move forward?
I can tell that there was a unit manager that really believed in finding new expressions for patients that heard of me and us doing theater and wanted to try it out. I think if more people were as brave as she was, it would be easier.
Yes, I think courage in general is very welcome during these days, nowadays, I think. But yes, we always need a network of people who believe in us and in our ideas in order to make our work possible. So let's talk openly about money. I think, Marlene, you already said that word at least once in your first or in your answer. This is often the unspoken topic, so I think your honest insights are highly valuable for our audience. So a very direct question for you is that how much money do you realistically need to make in a year to sustain your livelihood? Or how do you balance financial survival with staying true to your values and missions? Does anybody want to answer? Oh, Marlene, yes. Yes, good.
Yeah, we don't talk a lot about money because actually these kind of projects aren't about money, but you need it to organize your project. We need 500,000 euros a year to do all the activities we are doing. So organize the dance company, the dance classes, the people, the project team, the dance teachers, the dancers. So that's what we need to do all of our activities for a year.
Thank you for your transparency and openness. I appreciate it a lot. Was there something else that you wanted to add? Did I cut you off?
No, a lot, but go on.
Okay, yeah, I think that this is the topic, and all of this is that we can't actually empty the bucket in 5 minutes. Does anybody else want to share their thoughts about money?
Maybe talking about money, but on a broader scale, not only about the project, what we see, we know also a lot of friends who have normal jobs, and at the end of the month they say, okay, I don't have enough money anymore to, and then I think we as artists, social designers, we are also quite creative in how to use your money, spend your money, or and also sometimes we need less money to do more things also because we
the things you don't need.
yeah, it's also a lot about the things you don't need, I think. So it's also about that. Sometimes we have this discussion in the Netherlands that then they say, okay, artists can't afford to pay for insurance when they get ill. And then we say, I think you can make a choice also for this. So it's always about choices and yeah, being creative with that. So that's more on a broader scale, not on a project scale. But I think this also counts how you are in these projects, how you manage to build up these projects.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I think we are very creative in finding ways to survive in this world. I totally agree with this. Emma or Sylvain, do you want to add something?
Like I go around with 50,000, but then I have other works. Well, so
Yeah. Yeah, thank you for your transparency. Sylvain, do you want to answer this question?
Well, we are fairly new to actually to this very particular model. I mean, we sell performance in general, and we are all intermittent in French, which is a status for artists here. And so we are learning how to sell this TUTTI box, with the training and performance, and that's something that really moves from regional institution for health, really, or there was a recent report for how much the 1,000 first days of young children are important in France. And so this is, many cities have that kind of committee, and they actually, we just sold one box to one of those city to be shared then with the different creches. And so it's a connection between theater and between social politics of the city or a region.
So you're dependent maybe on the public funding, or if the public sector would like to be your client or so.
It's mainly our client. We haven't gone to the private sector of crèche, for instance, yet, but who knows?
Yeah, but we had a scale from 50,000 euros to 500,000 euros. So something there in between it takes to have a sustainable livelihood. And I must say, here in Finland, we have this rule of thumb that if you want to, as an entrepreneur, to have a sustainable livelihood and not to become rich, not to just to be able to pay your rent and buy your food and do the very minimum of life, your company should make 50,000 euros per year. So that should be your revenue for 1 year. So I think that this was very, very like eye-opening to a lot of us, also hearing the actual numbers, because that's where it comes down to when we're talking about sustainability in business. So now let's move on to future. And I find this question very energizing and motivating, especially when things in the sector feel heavy or uncertain. What are you excited about right now in your work in the future, or maybe at the moment? And what gives you building, or what are you building towards in the coming years? What gives you hope for the future of this field?
can I start?
Please, you're very welcome.
I just went with a group of theater and putting up a play for the Swedish Congress of Psychiatrists, and to see them grow on stage, on a new stage, and see the audience, the psychiatrists and the audience really getting touched by the play. and how much they grew. It was wonderful to see, and to develop even greater and greater place, showing them to more and more people, a wider audience. That's something for the future for me.
Oh, it sounds very, very interesting. Thank you. What about Marlene and Sylvain or SJAAK and ROSÉ?
Shall I go?
Yeah, absolutely.
We have a lot of things we want to build in the future. One of them is that we're going to tour with our dance company, in which people who are dancing who have a disability or chronic disease in Holland, but maybe international. You can book us. Yeah, and what's interesting is I think that a lot of people understand why culture and health care should work together, and we now get a lot of asked questions from health care professionals if we would like to train them in how you can use dance into your own work, and that's interesting developments. And maybe we go to next parts of the Netherlands to develop more dance classes for people with chronic diseases, because those group of people are growing very fast.
Yes, I think this is a very overall European issue we have all over the Europe, that our population is getting older and older. Okay, Sylvain, what is inspiring for you? What are your expectations for the future?
I mean, we just had another conversation with a publishing house in France to actually publish the book that we wrote about the work we are doing with children on music and dance, and it's going to happen. It's going to be published, and so it's going to have a much bigger visibility. And then we are also connecting with more, and that was said before, with more young children specialists in psychology or in psychiatry. So to make more connection on that level. So it's one of the things that really inspired us is that each time we go into a crèche, into a different part of France, we always discover the culture that's there about children, and that culture is really not equal. It's sometimes it's very poor actually, and it's very sad to see. It's just having an eye on children and that not more. And sometimes we see very passionate professional really trying to being there for the children. And what we want to do and what we get very enthusiastic about, it's really to awaken these creative juice about movement and expression and sound with those adults that sometimes have lost these, in the course of their life. And so that's very a big motivation for us to keep going always into the field and see the magic that happens when we bring movement and expression and music and dance in there.
Thank you, Sylvain. What about SJAAK and ROSÉ?
The social gym is one of our projects. We have two big projects, also one big project with people with severe mental illnesses. And what we like and what we are doing is building more care communities. In the world where everybody is becoming more individualistic, we really like to work on making care communities and together with the care organizations. And that's for both of the two projects that we do. And it's becoming from an art project more a project in society where we work with a lot of artists, but it's helping the creative vision of artists to develop into more care community.
Yeah, and what's also nice about it, I think, a development which we see more and more, that organizations or municipalities are more and more open to work together.
Yeah.
So, and I think that's because we have crisis after crisis, and you can't solve a crisis with the way you started it, the problem. So we see more and more artists or social designers in the Netherlands who are connected to all kinds of issues or problems, which is really nice development to see and to be part of.
I want to say or wish you good luck for your future endeavors for all of you. It sounds very, very, very inspiring. I have a very quick and a quick bonus question that I want to ask from all of you, and this has something to do with you before we wrap up. So let's keep these answers really short and sharp. This is the question. What's the one thing that really helps you? So how do you take care of your own well-being while supporting others? Maybe, Emma, you could start.
Writing poetry.
So art.
Art.
Yes. Yeah.
Sharing arts make me
Yes.
grow. Yes.
Oh, nice. Thank you, Emma. SJAAK and Rosé, how do you take care of your own well-being while taking care of others?
For me, it's being creative within a theater group as an amateur, so as a hobby, not as a job. That keeps me healthy.
Yes.
Being in nature and gardening.
Okay, good. Thank you. Thank you. Also artistic activities or creative activities. So Marlene, what keeps you healthy?
Dancing and take my own dance classes just for me. And also it's not very healthy, I know, but drinking wine with friends is also very relaxing. And being in nature is one of the things that I like to do.
Okay, thank you, Marlene. And Sylvain, last but not the least, what keeps you going?
Well, it's very simple. It's pretty simple, but it's breathing. It's conscious breathing. It's just, in the work we do, it's a lot about presence. It's a lot about being there, and it's a lot about regulating oneself or a group, and breathing is a most let's say the most immediate physiological thing that happens, and it happens all the time. And very often we're just not so aware of it, or we're just kind of trying to breathe, but especially in the world right now. So conscious breathing is a very simple, but just to remember.
Thank you, Sylvain. Maybe I already, when you said that, I started to feel like, am I breathing enough? Like I really want to inhale, exhale consciously. Thank you so much for your generosity for all of you, and especially for your honesty and your useful and empowering insights. It's incredibly inspiring to hear each of you and how you have built your practice, not just through vision and courage, but also through care, resilience, and imagination. So thank you so much to all of our panelists for your powerful reflections and realness. Now we'd love to open up the space for questions. So if there is any questions from the audience that you would like to ask from our experts or from the panelists, now it's a perfect time to write it in the chat, so that, now that we are here and we have all the knowledge and experience online in your hands available for all of us, it's a perfect time to ask something, and we'll do our best to hear as many voices as possible in the time we have. And so, do we have any questions? At least we have some comments here. Jennifer is saying, wow, what a wonderful, inspiring people. You guys are amazing. Bravo for everything you have achieved, and thank you that you keep going and growing. This is a really nice feedback for you, I think. So is there something that you would like to hear more about? Maybe meaning or support, money, systems, well-being, or something like this? Do we have any questions? No, not yet. Does our experts or our project team have any? Okay, now we have one question here. Okay, so any one of you who feels like you want to answer this, just open your voice and say how, and answer the way you feel like it's the best way. So how do you approach the public sector for funding?
In Holland, you have to write a plan and make a budget, and then you send it, and then you hope the commission will choose your project to give it money. But there are a lot of projects, so the competition is big. And maybe the other question for me,
Yes, there is
for
yeah.
employees, what kind of employees is my return question.
Yes, wait a second. What was the question? I'm trying to. Yeah, does Madeline think her dance classes would be beneficial for employees in organizations?
Oh yes, stressed employees.
Mm.
Yeah, we did. We did a training. I just told you for people who work in healthcare, and they asked me, "Could you come every week so we can dance every week for ourselves an hour to release stress?" And so yes, we could organize it. We don't do it yet, but I think it's necessary, especially for people who work in healthcare, to relax.
Yes.
By dancing.
Yes, thank you. Does anybody else want to elaborate or add something to Marlene's answer to these questions?
Yeah,
SJAAK.
I think about this approach to the public sector for funding. It's also about building a relationship. So we see within the Netherlands different funds, and some of these funds are more about, they are a partner. So it's not like a fund where you can ask for money and you have to wait for 3-4 months and then it's a yes or a no. But it's also, okay, we work on this together, and that's a good way to start a conversation with each other. And it's not the case with every fund, but for us, these are the more interesting funds. We also had one fund who invested in a coaching
for artists.
Coaching for artists, because they said it's not only about money. So I think yeah, that's the main thing. We are in this together. The people, and maybe that's also when I saw this question about how to get other sectors involved. I think this is also about not only about money, how to get them involved within the content of what you're doing, get them interested. Because I think a lot of people, for example, from companies or who maybe want to be a sponsor, they like to be approached not about money, but about something else, because they're talking about money the whole day. So it's finally something different, talking about life, talking about important things. So I think that's maybe a good idea to build these relationships, start talking about these kind of things.
This is a very interesting approach, I think, this idea of not talking about the money to business owners or other sectors. Yeah, there was this question that you already referred to, SJAAK, that which goes like this. To me, it seems crucial that not only the cultural sector funds these developments, but also other sectors which profit. How do you get their support? Is there somebody else who would also like to answer this question or have any ideas to this?
I mean, I can speak briefly. For some project we've been doing, we had some bank mecenas, some kind of private funding for, and that had to do with I mean, many big business, when they have enough money and that they can start to be mecene for artists or for different projects, and they have different lines. So you know, sometimes it's inclusion, sometimes it's disability, sometimes it's autism, sometimes it's this, sometimes it's that. So you know, sometimes it's you have to find the right let's say corporation or bank that's doing that, that's aligned with your project. And what we do also, we do many meetings, just meeting, and we try to cross-pollinate those meetings, and sometimes it really works. That's how we start to get an environment that can support the project. It's just not one thing. It's really how it really has to web and to network into many different layers of the social construct in the city, in the region, in the department, in the country, in the public, in the private.
Okay, thank you, Silvana. Jennifer also already answered here, said that great, super answer. Thank you so much. So you're really bringing value with your answers. Let's take our last question before we wrap up from Anouk. They're asking, what's your experience with universities and what collaboration do you see with research, science? Does anybody have any thoughts about this? Emma, yes, please.
I think it's very interesting because both in health, in medicine, universities with medicine and with the arts, both sides sees benefits. So it's really interesting to investigating in different institutions and different scientists. It's and to see more deeply in what arts can give, for example.
Yes, yes. Any other thoughts?
Maybe I can tell something about the research, what has been done by Dance on Prescription. From the start, we worked together with a big rehabilitation organization. It's called Revalidation Friesland. And they paid for scientific research for 3 years long. And they worked together with universities because they had they worked together. So they did finance the scientific research for Dance on Prescription.
Okay, thank you so much. Now I think it's time for us to wrap this up, our beautiful book launch event. And as we come to the end of today's session, I want to thank each and every one of you, not just for showing up, but for bringing your attention, your presence, and your questions. And there are two very important things I would like to ask from you. First, go and download the book and dive into it. As an entrepreneur and artist myself, I found the business models very intriguing and useful. Secondly, I would kindly ask you to fill out the feedback questionnaire that Datse is sharing, actually the link right now in the chat box. And thank you for your time and patience. It's really important for us to understand the impact of our work. And now thank you to our wonderful panelists for sharing with such openness and depth. And thank you again to everyone, our experts and the whole team in NDCP behind the Awake for making space for these stories and perspectives to be seen and heard. And my hope is that today's event has not only offered insights, but also a sense of connection to your own path and to others navigating similar terrain. May we stay grounded in our values, awake to possibility, and bold in imagining new ways of working, creating, and living. And let's keep the conversation going in our communities, collectives, and in our own workspaces, wherever we work. So thank you for my part. Maybe Datse, would you like to say something, or do we just finish here?
I think we can stop here. Thank you, Katrina. Thank you, our wonderful experts. Thank you, entrepreneurs, and our project team for contributing to the event. I still will take 1 minute or two to wait that you have time to fill in this questionnaire as an evaluation form. So it's super important to hear your feedback if this kind of event is valuable for you, and if you had some things that you benefited from it. So just 1 minute, and then from my part as well, big thank you to everyone who attended and who participated at the event.
So thank you so much for all of you. I will also stay here online for a second so that everybody will have time to fill in the questionnaire. But thank you from my part.